I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. I want to show you a video clip right now of Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump's lawyer, I suppose, on a right-wing propaganda network, Newsmax, saying that if the Manhattan judge doesn't throw out the case that the criminal grand jury just indicted Donald Trump on, that we must now investigate the Democratic Party because they must be the reason that the case is not thrown out. Play the clip.
He's a state prosecutor. He's using a federal crime to bootstrap his accounting crime, which is a 2-year misdemeanor.
It's a stretch.
That is barred by the statute of limitations. If a judge doesn't throw it out immediately, investigate the judge's connection to the Democratic Party and figure out how much money he paid for his judgeship. You know, that still happens. Not all the time, but it still happens.
I believe it.
And so you see there reflexively, the MAGA Republicans will always go into creating the conspiracy right away. If the judge doesn't rule this way, it is George Soros, it is Democratic Party, it is deep state. That's the reason that it's happening. Here, look at Donald Trump's post, by the way, as well. And Donald Trump's already telling people, there's no way I'm going to get a fair trial in New York. He goes, they only brought this fake, corrupt, and disgraceful charge against me because I stand with the American people, and they know I cannot get a fair trial in New York, exclamation point. You don't stand with the American people. You stand against the American people. And there's a reason that you lost by more than 7 million votes to President Biden. Here's another post by Donald Trump, again, attacking the judge. The judge hates me. The judge hates me. That's why I'm going to lose. The judge hates me. Donald Trump writes, the judge assigned to my witch hunt case, a case that has never been charged before, hates me. His name is Juan Manuel Marchand, who was handpicked by Bragg and the prosecutors, and is the same person who railroaded my 75-year-old former CFO, Alan Weisselberg. And that's what he does. They always attack the judges, the prosecutors. I did another video where Donald Trump was attacking Alvin Bragg's wife, the same way he attacked special counsel Jack Smith's wife. And that's what they do. It's a loser mentality. It's a victim mentality that they have. And rather than saying, hey, I'm innocent, I didn't do it, I'm going to put up a strong defense, they go, oh, the system's rigged, it's rigged against us, woe on us, we're the victims. Right, Donald Trump saying he's the victim. It is, if you watch any of the summaries of his rallies that you do, it's just him whining to the crowd. It's a whine fest. I'm a loser, everyone hates me, they hate all of us, we're all losers. I mean, that's kind of what those rallies are. But as I was watching that clip of Rudy Giuliani, I was reminded of this other interview that Rudy Giuliani gave, though, back in 2018 on Hannity, where basically Rudy Giuliani gave to Hannity essentially all of the elements of the crime that his client, Donald Trump, engaged in with respect to falsifying business records and then his words, and then funneling the money through Michael Cohen so that it could be paid as a hush money payment, ultimately paid to Stormy Daniels, and that it was the business records were falsified to say legal payment or legal reimbursement to Michael Cohen by the Trump organization to Michael Cohen, when it was actually a hush money payment from the Trump organization to Stormy Daniels. Here, just watch Rudy Giuliani completely admit to the crime from this 2018 interview with Hannity. I'm glad these archives exist. Play the clip.
On that, sir.
Having something to do with paying some Stormy Daniels woman $130,000, I mean, which is going to turn out to be perfectly legal. That money was not campaign money. Sorry, I'm giving you a fact now that you don't know. It's not campaign money. No campaign finance violation. So
they funneled it through the law firm.
Funneled through a law firm, and the president repaid it.
Oh, I didn't know he did.
Yep.
There's no campaign finance law.
Zero.
So the president.
Just like Sean.
So this decision was made by.
Everybody was nervous about this from the very beginning. I wasn't. I knew how much money Donald Trump put into that campaign. I said, $130,000. He's going to do a couple of checks for $130,000. When I heard Cohen's retainer of $35,000 when he was doing no work for the president, I said, but that's how he's repaying. That's how he's repaying it, with a little profit and a little margin for paying taxes for Michael.
But do you know the president didn't know about this? I believe that's what
he didn't
Michael
know about
said.
the specifics of it, as far as I know. But he did know about the general arrangement that Michael would take care of things like this, like I take care of things like this for my clients.
And here's the thing that we know now. So just so you know how the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels was made and why it was made, with Michael Cohen making the payment to Stormy Daniels and then Donald Trump paying Michael Cohen for it. Well, before Stormy Daniels, Donald Trump had paid hush money to another individual he had a sexual encounter with, somebody named Karen McDougal. But there, Trump used the National Enquirer and their CEO, David Pecker, to do what's called a catch and kill. The National Enquirer paid $150,000 to Karen McDougal to buy the life rights to her story. And by buying the life rights, basically saying, we will own the rights. You can't talk about your story to anyone else. We're the only people who own these rights, and we can make a movie about it. We can make a TV show about it. But ultimately, the goal was to kill the story, and a payment of $150,000 is made to Karen McDougal, and that's leading up to the 2016 election. So if the National Enquirer is making a $150,000 payment to a woman Donald Trump had a sexual encounter with leading up to the 2016 election, that would be an end run around campaign finance laws, right? Because one, there are limitations on the amount of money that you can contribute to political campaigns, but that money is being used not to the campaign. It's not being reported to the FEC. It is being paid directly to benefit Donald Trump, to a woman he had a sexual encounter with, right? And so leading up to, as we led more up to this election and the Stormy Daniels hush money payment was going to be made, the National Enquirer realized, oh crap, it's probably a campaign finance violation that we did. So we can't make that payment to Stormy Daniels like we did. And so what ultimately happened was the Trump organization then made that payment. The Trump organization made the payment to Michael Cohen, who made the payment to Stormy Daniels. Now, if the Trump organization made the payment directly to Stormy Daniels, right, that would be an unlawful campaign contribution. It would have to be reported, and it wasn't reported because it was paid to Michael Cohen as a legal reimbursement. And you have the falsification of the records, legal reimbursement, when that's not actually what it was. And then you have campaign finance violations and other criminal conspiracies ultimately related to these catch and kill schemes, and using Michael Cohen, or in the other case, the National Enquirer, as basically ways to funnel money in exchange for buying the silence of women that Donald Trump had sexual encounters with leading up to the election. So that's what's going on here. But still, the thing that the Manhattan District Attorney is still investigating, though, in it after this criminal indictment, but there's still an ongoing investigation, and I think Alvin Bragg is ultimately going to charge Donald Trump with as well. I think it's going to go before another grand jury, perhaps a superseding indictment, but I think it'll go before another grand jury, is for the broader financial valuation crimes. This is the criminal version of what New York Attorney General Letitia James is investigating, and which she's filed a civil lawsuit on. And so in those cases, one of the key issues here is whether Donald Trump was basically using the Trump organization as a piggy bank for, as a proxy for his personal funds, and kind of the commingling, and how Trump tried to avoid paying taxes by hiding behind losses, in this 10-year tax evasion scheme. And so here's just So just as you saw Rudy Giuliani back in 2018 incriminate Donald Trump in this case, I think I've shown this clip before, but you can just see all the lawyers incriminating him. This is Joe Tacopina basically explaining that Donald Trump views all of Trump Organization expenditures as personal expenditures. Basically, whereas Rudy Giuliani in 2018 walked Donald Trump directly and essentially admitted to the crimes of the Stormy Daniels hush money falsification case. Now, on the other case of fraudulent financial valuations and tax evasion and all of the other decade-long crimes that Trump engaged in, here we have Trump's new lawyer, Joe Tacopina, basically admitting to it. Here, play this clip.
You keep saying it's personal funds. That is not what Michael Cohen pled guilty to. This was funds where he was repaid by the Trump Organization. Trump signed the checks.
No,
one of them
incorrect.
that was there. So you call it
Incorrect.
Personal funds. It is in a court of
It is
law. It's
personal
been
funds.
proven that it was Trump Organization funds.
It's personal funds. It was not funds related to the campaign. That's the distinction.
But he used a
Jack.
Trump Organization
It's
check.
not campaign finance laws. But Chuck, that's personal. That's personal. It has nothing
So everything
to do
with the Trump
with
Organization
campaign.
is Donald Trump the
focus.
person? I mean, you realize the door you're opening there.
Chuck, you're absolutely conflating issues, and they don't go together. They just don't. This is a case that is being investigated because allegedly Donald Trump had an obligation to notify the FEC. Okay, the Federal Election Committee. He did not. The FEC has come forth and said that. This has nothing to do with whether he paid it through his organization, through a corporation, or his personal funds. These were personal funds. By all accounts, these were personal funds, not campaign funds. It's personal campaign, whether it's Trump Organization, Donald Trump, the person, Mar-a-Lago Corporation, whatever it is, they're personal and not campaign funds. And that's the key distinction here. If they were campaign funds, we'd be having a different discussion. We'd be talking about how he used campaign funds to pay personal expenses, and they'd be baying for an indictment, as I said earlier.
But again, what this investigation may end up being is about the essentially the falsifying business records, which, by the way,
And so, yeah, it is truly incredible to watch Trump's own lawyers incriminate him live on TV every single week, I guess, as Donald Trump said, the best people. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. So please hit subscribe now. Also support the MeidasTouch Network and our independent media platform by going to patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We've got a lot of great exclusive membership features at Patreon, but most importantly, it helps grow this independent media platform. And also, if you can, search wherever you get your audio podcast for MeidasTouch Podcast. Search it, download it. It's for free. Search MeidasTouch Podcast. Thank you for watching, and hit subscribe on this YouTube channel. Thank you.
Lock him up! Indictment season is upon us. Celebrate with the new Indictment season t-shirt and v-neck exclusively at store.meidastouch.com.